only imagine what you guys want to know. I know. Injury report will be out at 3 o'clock.
Even if Jordan is able to go, would you still need to have or want Sean to be up just in case?
Potentially.
Do I dare ask what Jordan did today?
He was limited.
Do you have much of a kind of the same question I asked you yesterday? And, I'm sure you don't have to tell us, but do you have a pretty good feel for what you're doing on Sunday, or is it really kind of up in the air at this point?
Yeah, I mean, every day is a new day, and we'll see, how he's responded throughout the course of the week and see where we're at.
Not to rephrase Bill's question, but do you know what you're doing and I respect your right to not tell us, but do you know what you're doing and you're not telling us, or do you not really know what you're doing at this point?
I never know what I'm doing. Just flying by the seat of my pants.
Well, you win that many games. I am curious if you are encouraged by what you saw from him throughout the course of the week in his limited capacity.
I think anytime he's out there, I mean, that's encouraging. So, but again, we'll see.
Is Jair a potential problem for Sunday with him not practicing? At least it looked like he didn't practice that one, right?
Yeah, that's a concern for sure. Anytime a guy doesn't practice, it's definitely a concern.
Matt, after the game, we talked about the penalties that the offensive line had drawn in this past game. What did you guys do this week to make sure that doesn't bleed into week 4?
Well, there's, really the focus is on the technique. We got to do a much better job of refining our technique so that we don't get put in those situations. So that's been a point of emphasis. I would say it's always a point of emphasis, but you just probably sound like these annoying parents that keep nagging on the guys about the importance of that because it costs us. I mean, we had a stat today or whatever. I mean, by all the penalties throughout the course of the year, it's cost us 2 touchdowns and 120 plus yards. So, we've got to do a much better job. Some of them happen. It's just you got to learn from your mistakes. You can't make repeated mistakes, and that's unfortunately we've struggled with that.
A couple of years ago, I know every year is different, but a couple of years ago you were best in the league with the fewest. You've had other years where you're in the top 5. So it's not like you've kind of allowed that to fester over the years. Why do you think those numbers have been up just these first 3 games? Because obviously there's a lot of season to go.
Sure. Well, I do think when you early on in our tenure here, we had a lot of veteran players, and I think that has something to do with it. Guys that have had a ton of games under their belt, and I think there's a learning curve for younger players, and we just got to make sure that we show improvement from week to week, especially in some of the areas that we have to clean up.
What's the challenge of the Vikings in the red zone facing their defense?
I think they're challenging everywhere, not only in the red zone. They play very aggressive, and they do a good job of giving you similar looks and playing different things out of them. Harrison Smith's been a problem for everybody. I don't even know what year he's in now, but it seems like he's been playing forever. But he's a really intelligent football player and can play games with you at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I can't tell you how many clips there are of him showing down one way and then going and playing going and play the middle third on the snap of the ball. There's not too many guys that can do that, but he can get away with it because he's timely with when he does that, and then there'll be other times he's on the ball and then he blitzes. So he is a problem, but it's not just him. I think it's a credit to just, number one, the scheme is really challenging. I think Brian Flores does a hell of a job of putting his guys in position, but ultimately you can't do that unless those guys can take that and apply it to the field. And you can tell they went out and have gotten some veteran help that's really put them in a better position. You can just tell that it's a highly intelligent defense.
Aside from your penalties, what's slowing you down in the record?
I think lack of execution. I think when you look at it, a lot of the teams that are most successful in the red area, first of all, they do a really good job of running the football. And we've had way too many penalties when we've gotten down there, and it's knocked us backwards. And it's hard when you get down in that tight area. If you're going backwards, you're putting yourself behind the sticks, and you're more reliant on the passing game. And then you're ultimately, you're not going to be as successful.
Matt, I'm curious, this Brian Flores defense, when you look at it, is it kind of a combination of different defenses? And I know he spent a lot of time in New England under Belichick, but is it more that combination of different things, or is he really doing something that's just never been seen before?
No, I think it certainly is some of the stuff that they've done in New England. I think a lot of the too high stuff, but what they've done is done such a great job of marrying it with the pressure looks, plus the versatility with their personnel. I mean, they could have what we call a penny package, which is basically 5 bigs out there, and then line up in a 4-down front, and vice versa. So, just the versatility within all their different personnel groupings, whether it's base, nickel, penny, dime, they play a lot of different personnels, and they can get in similar fronts and coverages interdependent of those personnels. And I think that makes it easier on their players, but it's just changing the people around for us offensively. It makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, those
What's
pressure,
the
I'm sorry, Wes, go ahead.
Just the challenge with Jordan Addison, because I know they didn't put him down for the injury report at all. If he is back out there,
Yeah, he's a hell of a player. I mean, I thought just his ability to come into the league last year and perform like a number 1 receiver. Now you got 2 number 1 receivers out there. That presents a lot of challenges for an opposing defense.
Pressure looks you were talking about, is that a carryover of what Zimmer used to do when he was there?
No. It's different. I mean, there's some similarities with every defense in some regards, but the similarities are with what Harrison does, I would say. But a lot of this showed up in his time in Miami as well. So it's not like, I just think it's been refined. I think it's very sound, yet at the same time, they can get after you. Obviously, having 16 sacks on the season.
What you were saying about Harrison, I mean, isn't that kind of what McKinney has given you too? And from a play caller offensively perspective, how much of a problem is it? And from a head coach's perspective, how nice is it to have a guy like that on your field?
Yeah, I think any time, I think the safety position is probably undervalued in terms of just running the back end and running the entire defense. And if you got guys that can disguise and make it complicated for quarterbacks, especially in those passing situations, it creates a lot of issues.
That's good.
All right. Have a great weekend.